Hello and welcome to another short video on Axway Managed File Transfer. In this video I'm going to run through a quick productivity hack that I created using the SecureTransport client API, SecureTransport ad hoc functionality and a little bit of Python and PowerShell to tie things together. Alright, let's have a look at the workflow. So what I've set up here is a context menu item from Windows Explorer where a user can select a file, right click it, choose an email recipient address and click send. What happens then is a Python script is initiated which will run a series of RESTful API commands using the SecureTransport client API. We're going to authenticate the user, create a draft ad hoc message, attach the file and finally send the file package. Once the file hits SecureTransport, it's going to be routed through the ad hoc functionality where a new user account will be created if it's needed. If not, the file is just going to be routed to the user account and a link will be sent to the recipient. The recipient then can click the link, download the file. Easy. Alright, let's have a look at a working demonstration. Alright, so here I am in ordinary old Windows Explorer menu. I've got my file here that I want to send. Now I'm going to simply right click it and I'm going to select this new context menu item here. It's going to prompt me for a recipient email, which I'm going to paste there, and then click OK. Done. So what's happened in the background now is that Python script has been initiated. It's sent the file to SecureTransport and hopefully it's been routed through a ad hoc workflow. Now let's check that out on the server side to see what's happened. Okay, so over on the SecureTransport admin UI, I can check a few things. Firstly, I'm going to check file tracking to verify that the file's been sent, and that looks pretty good. I can click in here, and I can see that we've had a file that's been sent to the Axway MFT demo account. Great. So what's happened there under the hood, because this is the first time I've sent to Axway MFT demo, I've had this workflow configured to set up an unlicensed user. So what this has gone and done using an account template has created a new user account for Axway MFT demo. They've been emailed the new credentials to log on with, and they can then, once they've reset their password, they can then log on to this interface and check that message that I've sent them. So looking at this from a recipient's point of view, what I can see here is the two emails that have been sent because of this ad hoc workflow that I've got configured. So the first one is the credentials. I see an enrollment notification there where this new user has been sent credentials because it's a new account. And then you've got the link to download the file. So if I go on there, I should be able to go download all files. And then I'm directed to the SecureTransport web client where I can enter my new credentials. And the files are going to be downloaded. So I'll now have an attachment zip containing the test file that I've sent to the user. Great. The other approach for this user here is to log on directly to the client interface. And then they'll be presented with their mailbox here, and I've got a copy of the file here, which I can also go through and I can download from here. Okay, so that's what the client sees. This subject, file from Greg, here is your file. This has been hard-coded in my ini file, which I'm going to go through in a second and show you how that's all set up. So that's the completed workflow from right-click through to a new account provision in SecureTransport. Now let's have a look at the technical stuff. Okay, let's quickly run through the requirements of what we need to set up this SecureTransport workflow. So the first thing we need is the SecureTransport server with the ad hoc capabilities configured. Now I think I've got another video on that if you want to have a look back through the things I've got here in the channel. We also need a SecureTransport user account as the sender with REST API enabled. So you're also going to need this user account to have a registered email address, obviously, which the recipient will be able to reply to. You need a Windows desktop You can probably do this similar thing on Linux, but in this case I've set it up on Windows, and you need the ability to be able to at least elevate to admin privileges, because you need to do some registry edits, run some PowerShell commands. And finally, you need Python 3 installed with the requests library. And just a note, there's probably many different ways you could set this little workflow up, but this is just how I've got it configured. So I'm going to run you through each of the components now and show you how everything hangs together. Okay, so the two files I'm going to need to save to configure this are firstly an ini file, and this is to store the server address, credentials for the sender. Now, normally you would probably have this configured with single sign-on or something like that, so you're not having to store credentials and worry about those. In this case, I've got them in the ini file. And then I've got hard-coded my subject text and my body text for the email messages, so this gives you a little bit of flexibility in how you configure it. Second thing you're going to need is a script. Okay, so this is my upload to MFT Python script. For disclosure, I didn't write this. This was Gemini, given some prompts. Did a pretty good job. So really the workflow here is we run our, read a few things in from the ini file, and the step 1 through 4 is your REST API commands, hitting SecureTransport Client API. So we're using the myself to authenticate, and we're saving the token for that for the subsequent API calls. We create a draft of the message. That's where you set your security, enroll unlicensed, etc. Your subject, message details. Then we upload the attachment, and finally we send it. And that's it. So four API commands using the client API. Easy. Okay, let's have a look at the registry entry that we need. Okay, the final piece we need is to add the right-click context menu item. And the way I've done that is with a registry entry. So this is manually configured on my workstation, but you can push these out through a group policy or whatever other mechanisms you use. What I've got here is a simple key under HKey local machine. Send files to Axway MFT. I have to find my icon that I'm going to use, and then the command that I'm going to use there. Pretty simple. It's calling PowerShell, which is going to give me that window to enter the recipient address, and then it's running a Python script to do all the heavy lifting. Okay, so that's really the whole thing set up. Okay, I hope that was interesting, and I hope it was helpful and gives you a few ideas of how you can start to use the SecureTransport APIs in your MFT workflows. I'll save the scripts and items I've used for this config in the show notes, but if you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out. Thanks for watching.